Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. We're diving into something super practical today. Um, Essential English phrases for air travel. So you can navigate airports and communicate clearly and confidently from booking your ticket all the way to grabbing your luggage at your final destination. We've pulled together real-world examples and key phrases to help make your next trip a breeze. No more travel stress.
Yeah, exactly. Whether you're a seasoned traveler or it's your first time flying, especially internationally, having a grasp of these phrases can make a huge difference. It's amazing how just a little bit of language prep can really boost your confidence and make the whole journey smoother.
So let's start at the very beginning, booking your flight. Whether you're doing it online, over the phone, or even face-to-face at an airline office or travel agency, there are a few key phrases that will come in handy.
For sure.
You want to kick things off with a clear and polite request.
Huh.
Something like, hello, I'd like to book a flight from, say, New Delhi to Dubai. Simple, direct, gets the conversation going.
Right. Starting with hello. Always a good idea. It shows courtesy, and then you clearly state your departure city and where you're headed.
And then, of course, you want to find out what flights are available. So you might ask, do you have any flights available for, let's say, next Monday? Nice and open-ended to see what your options are.
Absolutely. And naturally, the next thing you're going to want to know is the price.
Of course. What are the ticket prices?
Yep.
That's a big one.
Huge.
Once you've got that info, you can be specific about what you want. Like, I'd like an economy class ticket, please.
Uh-huh.
And for those of us who like to gaze out the window, you might add, could I possibly get a window seat?
Oh, good point about using could there. It just sounds a bit more polite than can I.
Exactly.
Sure.
A little touch of politeness can go a long way.
It really does. It's interesting how those initial interactions can really set the tone for the whole experience. Being clear, being polite, it helps things run much more smoothly.
To give you a better idea of how these phrases work in a real booking scenario, let's imagine a traveler. We'll call him Rahul. He wants to fly from Mumbai to London next Friday. He could start by saying, good morning. I'd like to book a flight from Mumbai to London for next Friday.
Okay. And the agent, let's say her name is Priya, might respond with, sure, do you prefer economy or business class?
And Rahul replies, economy class, please.
And then Priya could offer him some options like, we have a flight at 10 a.m. and another at 3 p.m. Which one would you prefer?
Rahul says, I'll take the 10 a.m. flight.
Great. Your ticket is confirmed.
Right.
Would you like a window or aisle seat?
And Rahul finishes with, window seat, please. Thank you.
So you see how those individual phrases we talked about can flow naturally in a short conversation.
Right. Gives you a feel for the rhythm of it.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Both Rahul and Priya are being direct, but they're also being polite, And those little courtesies make a big difference.
All right, fast forward. You've booked your flight, and now you're at the airport, heading to the check-in counter. What kind of phrases are going to be useful here?
This is where you're officially checking in for your flight, maybe dropping off your luggage. It's always a good idea to start by being polite and having your documents ready.
Okay.
Something like, good evening. I have a flight to Dubai at 8 p.m. Here's my passport and ticket. It's clear, it's efficient, it gets things moving.
Right, streamlining the process. Always helpful at a busy airport.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there's the luggage situation. You might simply ask, can I check in my luggage?
Yep. And then it's important to be aware of baggage allowances so you don't get hit with unexpected fees. You could ask, what is my baggage allowance?
Right.
Or, how much baggage am I allowed to check in?
Right.
Either way, it's good to know the rules.
And if you have a seating preference and you didn't get it sorted during booking, you can always try politely requesting it now. Could I request a window seat for my boarding pass, please? Again, that could adds a touch of politeness.
You got it. It's all about building on that initial booking, You're confirming your presence, taking care of the practicalities, and asking about the baggage allowance is so important because those rules can vary so much from airline to airline.
Right. Okay, let's imagine Rahul is at the check-in counter now. He meets Priya, who's helping passengers.
Priya might greet him with, good evening. May I have your passport and ticket, please?
Rahul says, sure, here you are.
Are you checking in any luggage today?
Yes, one suitcase. What is the baggage limit for checked luggage?
And Priya gives him the information. You can check in up to 20 kilos, and you're allowed 7 kilos as cabin baggage.
That's perfect, thank you. Could I possibly get a window seat, please?
And Priya efficiently wraps things up. Certainly. Here's your boarding pass with a window seat. Have a pleasant flight.
So after check-in, it's usually on to security and immigration. This part can sometimes be a little bit daunting, so knowing the right questions can really help.
It's all about understanding the procedures and feeling comfortable asking for directions or clarification if you need it.
No.
A good starting point is, excuse me, could you tell me where the security check area is? Again, could you tell me? Very polite, very helpful. And then to understand what you need to do, you might ask, do I need to remove my shoes and belt?
And of course, you'll need your travel documents handy once again. Here's my passport and boarding pass.
Yep. Gets things moving along.
And if you're a bit pressed for time, you might ask, approximately how long will the security check take?
You know, it's interesting about this stage. It's this balance between following instructions and being proactive about getting the information you need.
Right.
And being polite is crucial, especially in busy areas. Excuse me, before asking a question goes a long way.
Let's imagine Rahul's at the security checkpoint now, and Priya is a member of the security staff.
Okay, Rahul could approach Priya and say, excuse me, could you direct me to the security check area, please?
It's just down this hall, on your right.
Do I need to take my laptop and any liquids out of my bag?
Yes. Please place all electronics and liquids in a separate tray.
Okay.
Rahul follows the instructions. Okay, here's my boarding pass.
Thank you. You can proceed now. You see, brief but essential.
Clear communication makes it smoother for everyone.
Absolutely. Even with just a few words, being polite and clear can really facilitate cooperation. It's fascinating to see.
So once you're through security, you'll find yourself at the boarding gate, waiting for your flight to be called. What are some helpful phrases to use here?
Well, first off, you want to make sure you know which gate your flight is departing from. If it's not obvious, you can always ask, which gate is my flight to Dubai departing from? Simple and to the point.
Right. And as your boarding time gets closer, you might want to check if they started boarding yet. Has boarding commenced for flight 202? Don't forget to replace 202 with your actual flight number.
So important. Don't want to miss your flight.
Exactly. When it's your turn, have your documents ready. Here's my passport and boarding pass. And if you're curious about the departure time, you can ask, what is the estimated time until takeoff?
These questions help you stay informed, keep things moving smoothly, and reduce any pre-flight stress.
Absolutely.
Makes a big difference.
Okay, let's put Rahul at the gate now. Priya's the gate agent.
Rahul walks up to the counter and asks, excuse me, has boarding started for flight 202 to Dubai?
Priya checks her information and replies, yes. We are currently boarding passengers in rows 10 through 20.
I am in row 15. Here's my boarding pass.
Priya scans his pass and says, thank you. Please proceed through the gate. Enjoy your flight.
See, clear communication makes the boarding process so much easier. It's all about confirming details and making sure everyone knows what's happening.
Now you've boarded the plane, found your seat, settled in, but there are still times when you might need to interact with the flight attendants.
Right. They're there to help you have a comfortable and safe flight, so knowing how to make polite requests is essential. For example, if you get cold, you could say, excuse me, could I have a blanket, please? Or if you're thirsty, could I please get some water? Those are basic needs, and it's all about being courteous.
Right. And you might also want to know how long the flight is going to be. So you could ask, what is the flight duration?
Makes sense.
And if you need to switch seats for any reason, you can always try asking politely, would it be possible to change my seat? Of course, it depends on availability and the airline's policies.
Yeah, these phrases cover the common things you might need on board. And again, those little words like, excuse me, could, would, please, and thank you, they go a long way in making the interaction more pleasant for everyone.
Let's have a quick example of Rahul talking to Priya, who's a flight attendant this time.
Okay. Rahul presses the call button and says, excuse me, could I please get some water?
Of course. Here you go.
Thank you very much. Also, do you know what our estimated arrival time is?
Priya checks and says, we are scheduled to land at 6 a.m. local time.
Great. Thank you for your help. See, straightforward and polite.
Okay, so now you've landed and you're making your way to baggage claim. What phrases are going to come in handy here?
Well, retrieving your luggage is the last hurdle before you can really start your trip.
Oh?
So knowing where to go is key. You might ask, excuse me, can you tell me where the baggage claim area is located?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, luggage gets lost. So it's good to know what to say in that situation.
Right.
You could say, my suitcase hasn't arrived. Who should I speak to about missing luggage? And then once you've got your bags, you'll need to find your way out and figure out transportation. Where's the taxi stand? Or how do I get to the bus terminal? are good questions to ask.
Exactly. It's about navigating that final stage of the journey. Finding your belongings, getting to your next destination.
Hmm.
And I think it's important to remember to stay calm even if things don't go exactly to plan.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like if your luggage is delayed or something.
Right.
Knowing how to ask for help clearly and politely can make all the difference.
So there you have it, a complete deep dive into essential English phrases for air travel.
Yeah, we've covered it all. From booking your flight, checking in, getting through security, boarding, making requests on the plane, and finally, collecting your luggage and finding your way out of the airport.
By familiarizing yourself with these phrases and thinking about how they're used in real conversations, you'll be much more confident communicating at every stage of your journey.
Absolutely. And that confidence can really transform your travel experience, make it so much smoother and less stressful.
And as you plan your next trip, I encourage you to think about which of these phrases you might actually use yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll even find yourself coming up with some of your own depending on the specific situations you encounter.
It's all about feeling prepared and empowered to communicate effectively no matter where your travels take you.
Exactly. Have a great trip.
Safe travels, everyone.